Welcome to another broadcast of Crypto Truth Seekers on the Artist First Radio Network. We welcome your questions and comments. Hit us up at dj@artistfirst.com. And now, out to your host. It's Jennifer Collins.
Yes, thank you, Z-Man. Absolutely. Any questions or comments? We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for tuning in to Crypto Truth Seekers. We're just on right now at this time, one time a month, the first Wednesday of every month. So my guest tonight is a returning guest from, it's probably been a couple years, year and a half or so, Damian Questiny. And he was a paid remote viewer. And he also is a good friend. So we have lots of in-depth conversations. And we're hoping that you're going to enjoy the one that we're going to talk about tonight. Thanks for coming on, Damian.
Hi, Jennifer. Thank you so very much for having me again. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Before we get into kind of our topic, I forgot to ask you the other day. I saw all over the news and YouTube how Las Vegas is being invaded by locusts. Did you see any of them?
Oh, yes. We still actually have them around. There's not nearly in the numbers they were on the images you probably saw in front of the doors of a casino and, underneath the lights. But yeah, we still have them. So this year has been, in Vegas, we've had a lot of water. It rained a lot this year. And the larvae, they lie dormant in the ground. They could lie dormant for several years. And so I think it's because of all the rain and the really nice weather we've had. We've had nice weather, except for this last month. I think people in Vegas will wait a minute, it's been hot the past few weeks. So yeah, but before that, we had a beautiful June. We had a lot of water. So I'm thinking that's probably why we saw so many insects.
Okay, because there's people out there going, it's apocalyptic, Moses in Egypt thing. And
well, we actually had problems with water for a little while there. We're actually getting kind of nervous here in Vegas because, the Hoover Dam levels have been dropping quite a bit. But we've got,
wow.
We've actually increased our water levels now. So it's a good time as far as that part's concerned. So it's not apocalyptic unless you look at it in certain ways, I'm sure. The insects insects do eat a lot of our crops.
Yeah, that would be kind of a little bit of a plague there.
Yeah, well, and also with the crops, we've had since we have so much water, we have places like Nebraska, which is where I used to live. And in Nebraska, a lot of the, I shouldn't say a lot, but there are cornfields still underwater and there are also other fields that they haven't even been able to plant. And this is also in Iowa and Missouri and other places of the breadbasket. So there is a connection. When you see large swarms of insects, and, generally we need to take, more care on our food preparations. And so I would encourage people to really prepare now because, we need to, think about these things, especially since we also have, in political spaces, we also have issues going on with food as well. So I think that this narrative, this is going to be an important story to follow moving forward.
Something to kind of warning us a little bit,
Well, that's why the people say these things are apocalyptic, because they want you to pay attention to them, because they take a situation which is... Can you hear me?
I can kind of.
Okay, you can kind of? Okay, they take a situation that is stable. When you see things like this, the stable situation now is giving you the idea. It's letting you know. It's like a warning shot saying, hey, everybody... We are about, there are things that are coming in the future that are going to be slightly different than what you're used to. So prepare. And insects, wildlife, they give you these warnings. That's like, and when you're in tune with nature, this is kind of how you harmonize with the creatures. Like, for example, when we had the Bondi Ache quake, and earthquakes are another thing that are happening recently. When the Bondi Ache quake, there are stories of animals that went up to the hills prior to that earthquake. These creatures are animals around us. They assist us in what's going on with the world.
Yep. I believe that, Damian, and I really think that with today's technology and city life, and we're supposed to have more time, and with all this new technology, supposed to help us out. And I really think that we just don't tune in to kind of our spiritual side like some of our ancestors might have when they lived off the land more. So some things come and they just don't pay any mind to them. They just don't think anything of it.
Well, as you know, too, I'm a miner, and I live in Nevada, where we have beautiful gems and all sorts of different things. Like, I found some opals a few years ago, and I have my hands in the dirt a lot, and I feel that's an important part of living, is to connect yourself to the plant, to the earth, to the plants, to the animals, to these kind of things. Really have some type of relationship with them, because they teach you things as well.
Absolutely. And folks, this was not our topic for tonight, so we're going to get into our topic for tonight. But it was just an interesting subject that came up here in the last week, and I like to know people's opinion. But so we are going to talk. Get ready, folks, about what is it called? Time travel continuum. The
time travel game. The world's first time travel game.
The world's first time travel game. So why don't you explain to our audience exactly what that is, because it sounds very intriguing, I'm sure.
Okay. On my channel, I teach remote viewing, time travel, and magic. And the time travel game is designed to teach you how to discover on your own your very own harmony matrix, your blueprint. That discovery of, finding who you are can be now incorporated into this particular game. And this particular game is structured in a way to where you find the connections between all things. And I created the rules of the game first, and there is a passive set of rules, and then there is an active set of rules. Think of it like this. If a time traveler came back from the future to our present, okay, there are certain things that time traveler would have been exposed to that could assist us in our ever-present now, right? But to the time traveler, it would still be the ever-present now to the time traveler, okay? So that his world doesn't necessarily change, other than the fact that now he's living his life in the past situation, okay? Think of it like how we can record conversations and replay them back, right? Mm-hmm. We can record physical locations and play them back in real time 3,000 miles away, right? Like if I were to set up a live camera.
Movies are a good example.
Movies are perfect examples, and these are recordings, correct? Okay?
Correct.
And they have been, and so now that we can transfer these things 3,000 miles away and have near zero lag time. Okay? So the concepts of time travel is not difficult. So please don't make it think that I'm trying to sound crazy or anything. It's not difficult to understand how these processes can also happen physically. But when you do these things physically, there has to be a pattern, a fabric that is built in order to allow that transfer to take place. It's almost like on my channel, there's a story of John Teeter. John Teeter claimed to be a time traveler from the year 2036. Okay? And I read the exact words of John Teeter so that way there's no confusion when people look at time travel in the future and how it works. There's no confusion on the exact words that John Teeter said. So I read that for people on the channel here. So if they're interested, I would highly recommend going back and listening to John Teeter, because he talks about how it works. Now, basically, think of it like this. These things are connected in time to now because you have things like particle accelerators. And if you can create enough energy and you can bring two of these together, you create two microsingularities together, you basically create almost like a doorway. And time travel, the way it works is almost like a doorway where you open something up and you step into that another aspect, but it's not your world line. It's not where you are from. It's almost like another choice has been made to follow that one, and you have moved your physical body into that, so it'll be slightly different in that matrix, in that particular aspect of reality. In fact, you don't even because it could be, if you go the further you go in time, the more divergent the the aspects of the worlds become, because there are so many choices.
And that is so funny. I love that movie, Divergent.
Yes, but not to get too far ahead, the time travel game is just to give you rules, okay? Those rules have a passive and active nature. One of the things that I recommend people do to break free from to understand more how this process works is when they go about their day, which means they are transporting themselves, right? They're a transportal, okay?
Mm-hmm.
They're moving themselves about their day. They're going from point A to point B. When they drive on the roads or when they go anywhere, there are signs and symbols everywhere. Now, the mind...
I'm glad. I want you to talk about that, the meaning of colors and how... First of all, let's explain how, briefly, how they did this intentionally.
Yes.
And it's everywhere.
Yes. You mean the colors, the color spectrum?
Yeah, they knew what they were doing when they set this up for this matrix, for our system. Mm-hmm.
Yes, they do. They know what they're doing. It's managed. All systems are managed, especially civilization. Civilization is very complex systems working together. So it is part of the harmony matrix. It is part of the game of life or the time travel game, right? So because how they use color is a symbolic way, because our bodies respond to color. Like when you look at a blue screen, you will notice your behavior and your mood is different than if you look at a red screen, right? Or if you look at a white screen, your mood and behavior is different than you look at a black screen. You can tell, like when a white screen is on, maybe your eyes will squint. When a black screen is on, maybe you're trying to look deeper, right? When a red screen is on, you kind of feel a little agitated. When a blue screen is on, you feel a little calm, right? These are the generalities that we can associate to like the color spectrum. Hot water, they have it colored red. Cold water, they have it colored blue, right? These are dualities that allow for, and then the spigot's in the middle, right? That it creates something. You're creating activity by utilizing the red and the blue. So it's built in everything that we do. But the reason why I chose transportation to be the means of communication for the time travel game is because the individual is going to be, who wants to play the time travel game, the individual is going to be responsible for deciding where we go, how we use time travel technology. Because right now, there is no evidence to support time travel technology in a public space, right? We have to make assumptions and speculations, and we have to make narratives, and we have to, because there's no disclosure, correct? Right now.
Correct.
So the time travel game is designed to build a narrative, to build a model, so we don't need anybody else to tell us if time travel is real, because now we have the foundational principles to discover it on our own. Does this make sense so far?
So yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Share a little bit about the practical sense of what the colors mean and how that kind of fits into. Yeah.
Okay. How they control our movement in time is they use a spectrum of different systems. One of the most valuable systems is the chakras, or the color spectrum, or the color wheel, the cycles. All these things are very important because we, as human beings, are naturally in tune to respond to specific colors. So that way they can use that to control our behavior and our activity subconsciously. We just automatically do those things. We automatically avoid certain colors. We automatically are attracted to certain colors during certain periods, during certain seasons, everything has a relationship. And that's what the time travel game is designed to do, is to show you how to build those relationships.
Well, maybe you can explain to the listeners, talk about some of these colors.
Okay.
Yeah, how it actually controls them.
Yes. Okay, good. The best way to understand how it controls you is when you drive on your everyday trip, just look at the colors of the signs in which you see around you, because those signs are colored that way for a reason. They're not by accident. And this is not just here in the United States, by the way. This is pretty much internationally. And you will notice that there are degrees that are based within these colors, so you can extrapolate many different things from the colors that you see on the signs around you as you drive about your day. But I would like to boil it down for the game to just give you the most basic rules possible, so that way you can build your own game of life in the time travel matrix that we're discussing here. So we can have time travel for the people. That's what I'm bringing here. This is probably why I only have like 120 views on the video. But let me just share it like this. Let's start with white at the top and black at the bottom, because I think that's the easiest. And then we're going to go through the color wheel in between as it relates to our bodies, because we're trying to teach people here how to physically time travel. And to understand how to physically time travel, it's important to know how you build your own body, because when you move through time, you're going to have to organize your experiences and your perspectives into a matrix where you can find it again for memory, because memory is a critical component of how to access these things. So the first one at the very top, which is we'll just say that it's above our heads, that is offering, and that is white. And let's go all the way to the bottom, which is 10, and that is black, and that is control. And the reason why I want to start there is because if you look at the road in which you drive on, wherever you go, you will see black asphalt, which means control, and you will see white lines, which means offering. They're offering you a path for you to travel on, and they're controlling exactly where you go. Another example is when you drive down the freeways, you'll see there are fences about maybe 50 feet, sometimes 100 feet from the roads on both sides. So they're black. They're telling you, you're not allowed to go beyond these points. We are telling you, this is the road in which you have to drive on. That's why asphalt is black and the lines are white. You'll also notice that the sign that tells you how fast you can go, or else you'll get in trouble, will be black and white. White offering with the black 65 or 55 or 25, right? Depends on where you're at. That'll be in black because they're controlling the limit of your speed. You can't go beyond that, or else Saturn, black, will come after you. White, Uranus, is offering. So even the planets are associated to this, because this is how the matrix is controlled within the domination portion. But we don't want to participate within the domination matrix. We want to participate in the time travel game matrix, what I call the harmony matrix. So those are let's just start with the 1 and 10, and then now let's go through the different colors as they relate as we move down. 2, let me get some water real quick. Okay.
This is pretty good.
You like this? Okay. 2.
Well, it's given me an awareness now when I'm driving around that everything is set up by design as I don't know if you want to call it a bit of a prison planet, or you want to call it restrictions, or you want to call it whatever, monitoring.
You can associate good or bad to these things if you want to, but it doesn't necessarily work that way. Think of them like, I know this sounds bad too, but it's like there's on one side it's a profit center, another side it's a harvesting, and another one it's a production, it's a factory. It's like it's making sure that we keep people employed and active and moving and actually
Well, I'm sure there's some benefits. I get it, but it definitely is a structured system. Because
yes.
Before, I think our ancestors were just able to roam wherever and even homestead, but. Go through the colors. Let's do the colors. We'll finish those. Yeah, good. Okay, let's talk about 2. Okay. Now 2 is the star. It is purple. It is the word that you would use. The boiled down word for the time travel game that I want to share with people is the word sovereign. So you have 2 sovereign, the star and purple. Okay, so when you see purple on signs, which you don't see very many, you'll notice that they are in special places. Let's just put it that way. Number 3 is commerce, blue, Neptune, okay?
Now, this is important because when you see a blue sign, it's generally telling you that there is a gas station or a food mart or, something like that. When you see a blue sign on the road, right, it's going to say, hey, we got some stuff we can trade over here. Come over and see us, right? Have a conversation. That's part of Neptune. That's part of blue, and that's 3, and that's commerce. You'll see a lot of corporations also use the color blue in their logos because it is commerce. They're collecting markets, money. They want to convert a currency from one thing to another, and this is so they sell one thing, get you to buy it, and then they take what you buy so they can convert what they make into something else. So Neptune controls that aspect. So that's what blue signs, when you see blue signs on the side of the road, you will notice it is always commerce related. Okay, number 4 is service. It is Venus, and it is green. Okay, and the green signs are like, hey, this is Main Street, this is 2nd Street, this is, Lake Mead Boulevard, whatever, and they're always green signs to let you know that this is a path of service for you to travel on, safe travels for you. Look, this is Service Road. Please come. You'll find lots of interesting things down this path, I promise you. Just come to this service. That's what the green signs offer people. Number 5 is activity. Jupiter, the color yellow. So when you see yellow signs, you will notice again that they will be like people like running, or you'll see railroad tracks, or you'll see a deer jumping, right? You'll see some type of activity being performed on the yellow signs. Number 6 is change, Mercury, orange. And when you see orange cones, or you see, men and women in orange suits, you'll notice that those suits are actually orange because they're changing the road. They're taking something away or adding something or making it more convenient for people. There's something going on. So again, I don't want you to associate good or bad to any of these color systems. This is just a matrix.
It's just a symbol, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it very, very simple because as soon as you start putting blame on things, is you're taking away how time travel works, because you can't do that in this sense. So we have to physically do this on our own, because no one above us who are rulers over us are going to share this technology with us. If they were going to share this technology with us, they would have already done it. So it requires I know it requires a leap of faith to say time travel is real. You have to make that leap of faith. So I'm offering you a way to show you the possibility of that being real. And if it is real, then this is the way that I have suggested we could use to figure that out. And we could work together in this game to make that a reality if that's something we so choose. Because if you follow my channel, you will learn that all probabilities are at our disposal. It's just how we make the choices in order to get there, to bring it into the ever-present now. And this is going to take a lot of energy to do this. In other words, a lot of minds. So this is just the foundation. There are people much smarter than me who are going to come along and look at this stuff and then really figure it out. So let's go into 7. This is why I wanted to say this before 7. It's because 7 is priority. It is Mars, and it is red. So when you see a red sign, generally a stop sign or a red light, that takes priority. You have to stop above all others. If you're going 15 miles an hour and you see a stop sign, you cannot continue beyond that point. That's what priority means in Mars. And that is 7. Let's go to 8. 8 is culture, Pluto, brown. When you see a brown sign, you probably are seeing like a museum or a special place of that like a recreation area, right? Or these like kind of places. Yeah, like a park. Those are generally brown signs. So because that's culture. That's what they're teaching you there, and that is the number 8. Number 9 is support, the moon, and gray. So that one's very important. Also, what I find interesting is when you do see, gray signs, they are usually around temples as well. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up, and that's number 9. And then the last one we already went over, which was 10. The word for that is control. The planet that rules that is Saturn in the domination matrix, and the color that is utilized for that one is black. This is why when you go to university is the Saturn matrix. That's what university is. You wear that Saturn cube above your head with the limp tassel hanging off the side and a black robe of Saturn, because you've been indoctrinated into the Saturn cult of the universe system. The universe is ruled by Saturn, the rings of Saturn. So this is and time, where Uranus controls space in the matrix, and then you have Venus, which controls wood, and you have Mercury, which controls metal. So each one of these elements also play a role in the game and also within your body. So you will find the chakra systems in your body, right? So you have white at the top, and then you have purple, and then you have blue right at your throat, and then you have green at your heart, and then you have yellow at your solar plexus, right? Solar. The sun is named Sol, right? Solar plexus, and then you have
right.
Yeah, and you have orange in your gut, and then in your reproductive and elimination systems, you have red, right? Priority, and then you have brown at your legs, and then beneath your feet is black, right? The earth. So the sky and the earth. So in your body, this is how it needs to be organized, because for physical time travel to take place, we need to understand our bodies in order to move them through these aspects and be in harmony with them, because when we are moving inside and out of these physically, damage needs to be minimized. We don't want to create damage. We don't want to create pollution, for example. Like, I don't know if you've heard of the Mandela effect. The Mandela effect, let's put a question on it, since we don't want to muddy the game. Let's put a question on it. What happens if the Mandela effect is actually pollution from us messing around with time travel? Could that be a possibility? I ask the audience this question.
No? Yeah, and if the audience has any answers, we'd sure like to hear them.
Well, I'm just bringing it as an example. It's an example, right? Like there are things that are happening that are causing people to question reality that don't make sense. Millions of people cannot be that forgetful, or maybe they are, right? This is why it's a controversy.
Well, I remember there's a verse of scripture in the Bible when they were building the Tower of Babel, and supposedly the gods were like, uh-oh, now that they've all become together in an agreement, there is nothing impossible, nothing that they can't do. Absolutely nothing that you can't do. And so that goes back to kind of what you were saying, that there's all these probabilities.
Okay. I'm so glad, man. This is perfect. This is the greatest question of them all. I spent a great deal of time discussing what I call the morality matrix, because this is why we don't want to teach people how to physically time travel right now, because there is this morality that what you are discussing. There is nothing they cannot do, which means we could do great bad. We could create terrible weapons with this kind of stuff. And that is, if you followed my channel, you'll know that I did the Trinity experiment, which was about Renaissance or war. And these are paths in which we can take. So we must be very responsible with time travel technology. If it is real, we have to really have a sense of morality built into it, which brings us to the active properties of the game, of the time travel game. We just went over the passive properties of going about your day, because these are things that happen inside of you. You're thinking about these things. You're like, wow, that is what that's doing. Wow. All of a sudden, you're breaking down all the walls, all the matrix that's got you controlled. You're breaking all this down internally. Now let's talk about when you're ready. I spent more time on the morality to show you that there is a harmony in which we cannot change in the world. Nothing that we can do. There is something greater than our own. There's an intelligence beyond what we can understand that keeps all these systems working in the high definition and beauty that it does. And it is overwhelmingly powerful. Nothing can touch it. Some people call it God. Some people call it universe. It depends on your model. It depends on your narrative. But this is why I brought in what I call the morality matrix. And there's only 7 keys to the morality matrix, so it's not difficult. And these aspects have to work in harmony. And if you follow my channel, what I'm specifically referring to is the plate that I produce called Rules, because I am an artist. And I'm just expressing these in an art form to assist others in order to make these things a reality. So I want to put it in that position for people. And those 7 keys are this. 1, mentalism. Again, we're going to structure it in the body. Mentalism is the mind. What happens with mentalism is you begin to have choice. That choice goes into the number 2, which is correspondence. And that is the second principle or virtue that cannot be changed. Correspondence translates into an intellect, and that intellect goes into the number 3, which is vibration. And then vibration goes into motion, which causes purpose, and that creates polarity, which are also the elements. And that polarity, which goes into motivation, goes into the gut, which is care. And then it goes into influencing, and then rhythm, and then emotion, and then it goes into rhythm is 5, by the way, and then number 6 is cause and effect. And cause and effect is also called karma in some places, and it's also called time in other places, and that is number 6. And then with cause and effect, the idea here is to discover joy. And then you have the 7th principle, which is a very controversial subject right now, which again is why other systems have to be broken down first, because there's too much energy and force being put behind certain ideas that people can't break from their understanding quite yet. And I mean that with great respect. And because number 7 is gender, which is the masculine and the feminine aspects. And both men and women have both masculine and feminine properties. It's not about, not about that. There's gender in all living, all life. So that goes into what I call form, and then it goes full circle. So those are the 7 principles that we cannot change. There's also, within the game, there's always evil. There's always destruction. There's always a foe, an opponent, an enemy, whatever word you want to call it, right? I like to call it just an opponent, because it's like playing a game of tennis in that sense. And you're not being violent or harmful. But those are what I call the 7 deadly sins of, pride at the top of the head, envy at the senses, because these things relate as well. And then you have wrath at the throat, and then you have greed at the heart, and then you have gluttony at the which one did I miss? Gluttony at the gut, and sloth at the hands. That's what I forgot. And then forget the other 2. I know lust is the last one. Lust at the reproductive and elimination aspects. So those are the 7 deadly sins that also play a role in the matrix in which we're talking about here, the time travel game. And I'll stop there because that was kind of a lot of information.
It is, but it's really definitely interesting. I was going to tell you just a little story. I tried a little experiment because I like to just experiment with things with my mind, And I've never done this before, but I have this coffee cup that has a lid, and you know how they punch them. There's like little perforation areas on the top of the cup. You can push down. It's like regular decaf or whatever, and then you know what it is.
Yeah, your little tabs. Like you can say, a diet or
right.
Cola. Yeah.
I know, and this is the weirdest thing ever. Okay, these buttons are not connected to anything except for in my mind. And so every time we go out now, I go green lights everywhere we go, and I push it down, and I swear it's like green green, green. It's like perfect timing. Because before, we'd be like stuck at red lights or whatever all the time going, and, you know, complaining. I'm like, nope, it's going to be green lights everywhere we go. We push down on that thing.
This makes me actually
like make believe, but it was working.
Yeah, no. Okay, this makes me so happy that you're talking about this. This is the kind of things that I like to hear from other people, because I always make reference, because we're talking about traveling, right? I always make reference. Traveling is a good way to find out what are the things that are holding you back. And if you're hitting every green light, generally you're probably in a really good mood. You're like focused. You're happy, because, you know, things are kind of working your way. You're in harmony, and that's what we're talking about. That's what the game is designed to bring you. Once you find harmony, this does not become a game to you anymore, because you are moving about.
It becomes a way of life.
Yes, yeah. That's why the foundation of this is here.
I could see that.
So, yeah. So if you're hitting a lot of yellow lights, let's just bring this a little further in case other people go about their day and then they are getting a lot of friction coming at them. Like, they got so much stress going on in their life. What the heck do they do? How do they focus? Their head, there's like 40 different channels going on at the same time, because there's so much stuff going on and they're frazzled, right? I'm assuming this happens to people.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So how this works?
Some of us.
Yeah, some of us, right? Some of us. So how this works is that you utilize this system to focus your intention, and not your belief, but just your intention, and then look at be responsible for your actions, and just pay attention to them, and try to get those red lights to stop being red. You know, the light turns green, you hit the gas really hard, and the next light turns red, and you hit the brakes really hard.
Oh, Damian, and also like on that movie, Star Wars, where Obi-Wan Kenobi's talking to those soldier robots, I forgot what they're called again, galactic, whatever, and he's like, there's nothing here for you, and they look at each other and go, there's nothing here for us. You
Yes.
can go your way now. You can go your way now.
Yes, we can do this.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Now, I know that sounds like tricks and mind games and things like that, but it's just what actually. I'll explain how the trick.
You'll see it work.
You'll see it work. Yeah. Actually, here's what actually happens. Here's the funny thing about it. It's actually not rocket science. It's actually very, very simple to explain. When you are anxious, you are living in the future. You're consumed by, oh my gosh, I gotta pick up the kids. I gotta go to work. There's so many things. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. There's all this gottas. And then, so you get really anxious because your mind is always in the future. And there's a lot of channels that you can have there that are going on. And then you also have, things that are going on in the past for you, and that brings you depression. Like, oh, I wish I didn't, yell at that guy yesterday. I wish I didn't, flip that guy off or whatever. Like all these things I wish I didn't. I wish I could change this. I wish I can change that. Don't change anything you've ever done.
It's what I call shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Yeah, shoulda, woulda, coulda. That's depression. And I would recommend you find a way to not let that consume you, where you cannot get out of that depression. And how you do that is you attune yourself. This is part of time travel, right? Past, present, and future. We're discussing why we're discussing this. So you attune yourself to your heart, and your heart is the present. And if you can move within the present, your body becomes balanced and at peace. And this is where the channels start to fade away easily, because the things that take place in the future, you can start organizing and structuring them to where it's like, oh, I don't need to worry about that for 6 more hours. I don't need to worry about that for 2 more hours. I don't, like all of a sudden you start organizing your life where you can stay focused in the ever-present now. And that brings you peace. And so the mind is associated primarily to the past. I remember when. You got to remember where you left it. You got to remember what words to use. You got to remember all the things you were taught, the etiquette. You got to remember all this stuff, and that's where your mind comes in. You got to remember what 2 + 2 is. You got to, but what's interesting is that the future is not in your mind. The future is in your gut. And the domination matrix, if you will, they don't teach the gut. They don't teach the future. They only teach the past. People can recite all sorts of statistics, all sorts of years when things happen, battles and all sorts of stuff, but where they have no connection to the future, and that comes from the gut. And now the present comes from the heart. So depends on where you are within the game, you can understand and organize these things and go deeper. If you are interested, you can look at my channel. My channel is actually a giant book. Okay, there's 2 books there. There's one book that I wrote prior to going public on my channel, and you can see that. And the second book was written while on the 3-year journey making the channel, because you'll know something about me, Jennifer.
You need to let everybody know the name of your channel.
Sure. My channel's name is Damian Questiny. I am the founder and teacher of a process called Elemental Hypertech, and I'm the creator of the world's first time travel game. So that's what I'd like to bring up. But if you go on my channel, what I've done is I know these concepts are very difficult to understand for people. Time travel is a very hard concept to understand. So what I've done is I've run experiments. I've run several experiments, in fact 5 of them, because in the reality matrix, it's the number 5. So that's why I did that. I wanted to bring this into reality, so I'm stopping at 5. And what you'll find is the Trinity experiment is the experiment on how to use your mind, how remote viewing works. And that brings you what I call abundance, or in some cases, a lot of wealth. Okay? Then we did the Lash factor experiment. That is designed to teach you about the future and the gut. And that was an experiment in which you can go through to learn more about that. Then there was the Echo experiment, which was the experiment designed to teach you about the ever-present now in time travel, which is in the heart. And then there was a private experiment that was performed, and that's very important because the aspects which are taught there are unique to every single person. So each person who's listening to this right now these things are generalities, and what you will discover through this process is authenticity. You will find your novelty, your uniqueness. This is how I tried to design this game, is to bring these to you as a gift, because these are the things that these technologies of remote viewing, time travel, and magic have taught me. And I would be remiss not to share the abundance and joy and purpose and all these gifts that has given me. I would feel like I'm partaking in the 7 deadly sins, right? Like of greed and lust and wrath, because I'm keeping this to myself. How arrogant of me. Because you will notice that I also utilize these practices through 4 principles, the 4 elements. Each element, I have a word that I use to communicate with that, so to speak, inside my body. In my gut, it's humility. In my mind, it's reverence. In my heart, it's gratitude. And in my body, it's sincerity. So back to past, present, and future.
Poetic, Damian.
What's that?
Very poetic. Almost.
Oh, well, that's what I'm hoping this is what I'm hoping the game brings for you, is to find these skills and these talents of yourself. But more importantly, one of the things that I find of great value through this technology that I'm sharing here is memory, is to be able to recall your experiences, to be able to have those perspectives, those feelings come back to you, to enjoy your life. That's what the game is hopefully giving to others who want to partake on this journey, on this quest.
Is there any advice you'd want to give to some of the folks that are sitting there going, well, I had a really dysfunctional family. My life was kind of, crappy, and there's a lot of things that I did that I have remorse for, or they're just, kind of just like, well, this sounds all like, la-la. La La Land, to get that happy and that peace and all this stuff with everything that's going on. What advice would you give to somebody like that?
Yes. I am one of those people who have had great pain in my life as well. The best thing I could say to you is nobody has lived the life that you have, so nobody understands the pain in which you've gone through. So what I would recommend that you do is find a way to come to grips and to terms with that and to pick yourself up. Like, for example, for me, what I did, that's all I can give is just my experience of what I had to do, is I had to forgive. I had to forgive because I realize now, as I've gotten older, and I look at them now, and I look at their life that they live, and I realize that they were just projecting their own fear, their own guilt, their own pain, their own suffering onto me because it was so unbearable for them. They couldn't handle it. But you know what? I've had to handle that pain. I've had to handle my own pain and the pain of the people I love, and I'm still here, and I'm still working on trying to make the world a better place. As much as it kicks me down, as much as it tries to remove me and hates me, or whatever word that you want, we can't even use that word anymore, right? Whatever you're feeling, whatever fear and guilt that you're feeling, you can do it. There's always a path. And for me,
there's passion and fire when you talk about this.
Yes.
This is your life, Damian, and you want to be the change, and you want to help make the change. And you want to inform people because we're crying out. We see that things need to change. We get it. We see this in this time continuum that we've been going in for hundreds of years, thousands of years. And there's some of us that are just really waking up, and we want it to be different.
That's it. You have to want You want to be different. About you. Yeah, you have to want it. What do you want?
How to do it. Whether it's going to ever be perfect, but I'll tell you what, have fun, at least on that path while you're doing it. Try to enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
And make it fun. And take the limits off. Get outside, think outside the box. I don't like anybody putting me inside the box. Somebody tells me this is the way it is, and this is it, and this is only, I'm gonna pull it apart, I'm gonna tear it apart, and I'm gonna try to figure out, well, how can I think outside the box? That's just me, though.
Yeah, and also another. Let's put some practical advice onto this instead of, because I did get kind of emotional there. so maybe we can.
No, that's okay. That was good though.
Okay. Let's put a practical approach to what you can do in your daily activities to really make change in your life. What I would suggest is look at the people who are most influential in your life, whoever those people are. I'm hoping that most people who are influential are the people around you. But I know that I'm wrong when I say that because most people care more about the lives of others who they don't even know more than themselves. Like they're consumed more with what other people do than what they do. So that's the first process is you have to start looking at yourself. And then you start looking at the relationships within the people who are around you, your family, your friends, your, acquaintances, your workmates, whatever your buddy you play chess with down at the park or whatever, whoever it is, look at those people. And you will understand that generally the 5 people who are closest to you, you will be the average of those people. And that will give you a starting point to understand where you are. You may not like what you see, and others, they may like what they see, right? They're, oh yeah, cool, I like where I'm at. Others may go, oh yeah, I gotta make some changes. So that's because that lets you know a reflection of who you are. And then this will give you a starting point to say, okay, now that I know who I am, what is it that I can bring into my life that will benefit me and this person, because I love them and they love me and we get along great and I don't want to lose them. So I want to make sure I bring benefit into me that helps them too. And that would be kind of the next stage. So you're just, what you're doing is you're just taking account of your environment. You're taking account of the people who you interact with. And then after that, you start building what I call personal responsibility for your actions. Because then you start going, wow, I'm really mean to that person. Maybe I should change my language. And that's very healthy. Changing your language is a way of improvement. changing the, maybe I should start going to the gym because I'm feeling a little slothful or whatever, right? Because we talked about the things that are the 7 deadly immortals. So maybe I'm feeling a little slothful. Maybe I should go to the gym, and then I'll feel better about myself. That may help too, right? And maybe I'll meet some people at the gym I like. And so all of a sudden, you're opening up doorways and new avenues for you to change your life, and that's what time travel does. It's a way to change your life.
Thank you, Damian. That's awesome. That's a good way to do it. And one thing, folks, that I know about Damian is he's very optimistic, that's for sure. And even if something tries to get him down, I mean, Damian, I see you bounce back. I mean, it's like, okay, you get frustrated, just like all of us can, but you bounce right back, and it's because you're applying, the principles that you believe that work, and they're working for you. So, and you're very authentic, too.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. Yes, and everybody can become more in tune. Okay, so everybody's authentic. Everybody knows who they are in some way. So I'm not saying that everybody's fake, But what you're doing is you're in tuning yourself and becoming richer, becoming more wealthy and healthy, becoming more in tune with who you are inside. Because here's what magic really is. You think the world outside of us is big. You look around, we cannot see the ends. We're like, look at how big the world is. Just think about how big our insides are, how deep we are. And you and I have talked about this before. When you love somebody, it's more love.
You're actually your phone's starting to break up quite a bit, but we're about at the end of the hour here right now. And I definitely want to thank you for coming on. I'm going to have you come back on again, some other subjects. This was a great subject. I mean, it helps to awaken, give people some choices at least, give them some thought-provoking ideas, and give it a try and see if it works for you. And if it does, well, just prove it right or prove it wrong, but try it. It's like years ago when I was watching The Secret, I started trying some of that, and by George, there is some truth to it.
I love that. Thank you so much for having me on, Jennifer. I really appreciate it. What a great conversation. And thank you for letting me talk about the game. The time travel game. It's so cool.
Okay. Well, folks, thank you so much for tuning in to Crypto Truth Speakers. I'm Jennifer Collins, and we'll definitely see you, same channel, next time, next month. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.